What is the most common objection that you get from a girl that you approach in field? What's the most common one? I bet you know what it is. I have a boyfriend, right? How many times have you heard that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was great to meeting you, but I have a boyfriend. I can't talk to you, right? What do a lot of guys do in that situation where the girl says, oh, I have a boyfriend? What do most guys do? They eject, right? They eject out of that set. Oh, thank you. It was nice meeting you. Good luck with you and your imaginary boyfriend. Because half the time, hate to break it to you, but half the time these girls tell you that they have a boyfriend, half of the time they're completely lying. You know, the other half of the time they are telling the truth. Okay, so I will give them that. Because most times, a lot of these hot girls are going to be dating somebody. Doesn't technically make the guy their boyfriend, but they're going to be seeing somebody or dating some guy. Okay, sometimes he will be her boyfriend, and sometimes he'll just be a guy that she's casually dating, right? But whenever you approach a girl and she says, hey, I have a boyfriend, sorry, don't just walk away. Don't ever, ever, ever just walk away. One of my most skilled wingmen, this was his biggest sticking point, believe it or not. Okay, one of my most skilled wingmen, Brando, he is phenomenal in field, by the way. I mean, he could get kiss closes from girls within seconds. This guy can build attraction out of thin air. I mean, like that. It's insane. But when the girl would hit him with, oh, I have a boyfriend, he would eject out of the set. It was mind-blowing to me because I never thought that he would give up so easily. I'm like, why are you ejecting so easily? Is it a moralistic thing that, you know, she's telling you she has a boyfriend? And he goes, no. He goes, I just feel like, okay, well, there's nothing there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Much to learn, you still have. Right, that line from Star Wars. No, when the girl tells you that she has a boyfriend, that is just the beginning of your approach. You do not eject out of that. What I will say to the girl, and I want you to use this, when the girl says, sorry, I have something in my eye. When the girl says, I have a boyfriend, what I will automatically follow up with is, oh, cool. How long have you guys been together? So I'll put the girl on the spot, and she'll be like, if she's telling the truth, she'll answer right away. Oh, we've been together 2 years. She'll answer very quickly. If she hesitates, you know she's lying. Okay, so that's a little trick I want you to use in field. When the girl says, hey, I have a boyfriend, automatically follow up with, oh, how long have you been together? If she's telling the truth, she'll answer very quickly. Okay, she'll be like, oh, we've been together a year. We've been together 6 months. We've been together 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. She'll answer very, very quickly. If she's lying, she'll sit there and think about it. And she'll go, we've been together like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 months, right? Generally, when she answers like that, just kind of blasé, means she's lying. She's just trying to look for something. Either way, whether she's lying or telling the truth, okay, whether she's lying or telling the truth, you're going to follow up with, does he let you have guy friends? Okay, I want you to remember that. Plant that in your head. Does he let you have guy friends? Okay, so next time you approach a girl and she says, hey, I have a boyfriend, she gives you that objection, that rejection, it's one of the most common ones. You are going to follow up. First thing you're going to ask her is, how long have you guys been together? Okay? And whether she's lying or not, doesn't matter. You're going to follow up with, oh, cool. Does he let you have guy friends? Most girls, just for the fact that you went this far and she wasn't able to shut you down with, hey, I have a boyfriend, will go ahead and be like, yeah, sure, he lets me have guy friends. Okay, and the very few girls who say, no, he doesn't really let me have guy friends, then you could easily turn that around and nag her, and you could hit her with like, what are you guys in like 7th grade? You know, how old are you? I like to make the girl feel a little uncomfortable, like, oh, I don't want this guy thinking that I'm this, 12-year-old. I want him thinking that I'm a mature woman who can make my own decisions, and then that I'm in a mature relationship with a mature guy, and not some chump who's insecure with himself that doesn't let me have guy friends. Because a lot of times if the girl's like, no, he doesn't let me have guy friends, like, wow, it sounds like kind of a possessive, unhealthy relationship, don't you think? So, do you normally attract guys like that? Right? And I'll say it kind of teasingly because I don't want to offend her, but I kind of want that truth to sink in. Okay, most girls are not going to bring you to this extent. I'm just giving you this information for your own personal reference. But most girls will generally give you automatic credit for the fact that she already told you she has a boyfriend, and here you are, you're still there. She didn't get rid of you, and you're still saying, does he let you have guy friends? You're still sitting there willing to be her friend. Now, does this mean you're willing to be her gay little friend or her little bitch boy? No, of course not. You are just trying to get into her life. Between me and you are trying to get into her life. Okay, why are you trying to get in her life? You're trying to get in her life so that you can continue working game on her, because you cannot work game on a girl whose life you are not in. So by asking the girl, does he let you have guy friends? Really, you're giving her that plausible deniability, because if she is telling the truth and she does have a boyfriend, you're already removing the responsibility from her. You're already taking the responsibility off her that, hey, I told this guy I had a boyfriend. I told him and he didn't seem to care, and he just wants to be friends. So you're removing the responsibility off her. We call that plausible deniability. Okay? Plausible deniability. And I did a whole coaching lesson on plausible deniability right here in 7 Months to Mastery. And this is super powerful too, by the way, when you're about to have sex with a girl and she's giving you any of that last minute resistance or ASD, anti-slut defense, and you feel like this girl wants to sleep with you, but she's not letting herself. You could give her that plausible deniability, remove the responsibility off her for feeling like a slut, and place all the blame on yourself. Like, hey, I'm just so attracted to you because you're so beautiful. Don't worry, I'm not going to think bad of you. And, people have sex all the time. So you're removing that responsibility off of her. So you're doing the same thing when she tells you that she has a boyfriend. You're using plausible deniability. Remember that word, plausible deniability, to remove the responsibility off of her that she already told you that she has a boyfriend. So her boyfriend can't come back around and be like, hey, did you tell this guy you had a boyfriend? She'll be like, yeah, I told him. And he said he just wanted to be friends. So, and most girls, I will tell you, over 80% of the girls you approach will totally be down with that, and they'll totally welcome that. And believe it or not, you'll be able to close these girls a lot faster than you would a single girl, especially if she does have a boyfriend. Sad to say, a lot of these girls will allow themselves to be free with you physically, sexually, just because they already told you that they have a boyfriend, and they're letting you take all the blame. Like, oh, he's the one who's pursuing me. He's the one who's having sex with me. I'm not doing anything. I told him I have a boyfriend. Right? So you're removing the responsibility off her just by asking that simple question, does he let you have guy friends? So the next time you approach a girl and she gives you that auto response that every hot girl gives to a guy trying to reject him, hey, I have a boyfriend, what do you follow up with? A, how long have you been together? And B, does he let you have guy friends? You do that alone, believe me, you will be blown away at how many of these girls will continue a relationship with you, that will have a relationship with you behind her boyfriend's back. You will be blown away. Okay? These are girls that you otherwise would have lost. You would have lost them if you did what most chumps do, which is just walk away. Be like, oh, she said she has a boyfriend. I guess it's over. No, it's not over. It's just beginning. Okay? So never forget that. Now, obviously, some guys may question, like, morally, is this right? And what I tell guys is, if the girl has a boyfriend and they're not engaged and they're not married, he's just a boyfriend, you know what? Fair game. It's fair game. If that guy has not put a ring on her finger and is not married to her and they don't have kids or anything like that, it's fair game. I don't have a problem approaching girls who have boyfriends, because a lot of these hot girls do tend to have boyfriends, and a lot of these boyfriends, they just blow themselves out eventually, and she ends up dating somebody else after him. It might as well be you, okay? Might as well be you. Because as long as the girl's not married and she doesn't have a ring on her finger or anything like that, then it is fair game. They're just in a dating relationship. They're just in a dating relationship. I don't care how long they've been together. If they are not married, it is fair game. Now, one other thing I teach my students is, if there is a ring on her finger and she is married, don't approach her. I don't approach married women. I just don't do it. And I know how, if anybody's going to cheat, it's going to be a married woman, especially if she's unhappy, if the guy's a chump. She's looking for any reason to cheat on that guy. And, morally, I can't control what you do, but I can control what I do, and I can control what I teach my students. And that's something I don't teach my students to do. I don't teach them to go after married women like a lot of these evil pickup artists do and deal with some crazy husband. I don't do that. I don't teach my students to do it. It's not necessary, and it can get very, very messy dealing with married women. Have I gone there in the past? Yes, I have. How do you think I learned my lesson, right? It's just not worth it, especially if there are kids involved. It's just not worth it, and morally, it will end up haunting you in the future, especially if they get divorced, And I've been in those situations before where the girl, the chick was ready to leave her husband and kids over me, and I didn't have those feelings for her. I wasn't willing to stay like her husband was. I wasn't willing to provide for those kids like her husband was. She was in a good situation, and her emotions just got swept away by some pickup artist that was being selfish, and in those situations, I've learned that I just say no. And I've had married women who are very, very attractive chase me and be like, you know what? I live downstairs. I sleep separately from him. We're separated anyway. And I'm like, no, as long as you're on paper, you're still married. You're still living in the same house. I don't know what's going on in that house. I'm not going to go there with you. I go, hey, if you ever do separate from him and you do it legally and you're apart from him and you're living in your own space, go ahead and call me. You have my number. But until then, I'm just not interested. I have no problem walking away from that. Why? Because I'm in abundance. I'm not in that scarcity. I'm not in such scarcity where I need to go there. Okay, I'm not hurting for that chick's vagina that bad, right? Because I could pick up plenty of other hot girls outside of her that are not in this crazy situation with a husband and kids and a house and a mortgage. I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to be part of it. And I just, I don't need to. I don't need to go there. And neither do you. Okay, neither do you, especially if you're learning this stuff. Maybe you don't have the pool of dating options that I have. It doesn't matter. You don't need to go there, because I'm teaching you how to get tons of these other girls that are not married and not engaged, that are completely walking around free for the pickings. As far as a girlfriend who is in a relationship with a guy that's just her boyfriend, he's just a dating partner, that's fair game. I'm going to go for it, okay? And I will not have a second thought about it. If she wants to leave him for me, she's free to do that. Okay, obviously that tells me something about her, right? It tells me what kind of person she is. And as I teach you guys, when it comes to relationships, the way it begins is the way that it ends. So if she's leaving this guy for you, guess what she's going to do in the future to you if you let her? She's going to leave you for some other dude. Okay, but unfortunately, a lot of these hot girls, they already have boyfriends. I'm not saying they're all like that. They're just like monkeys swinging on a vine, but they can't let go of one relationship till they grab onto the next. I'm not saying that, but a lot of these girls are in some sort of like casual dating relationship with some guy where you can take them away, or they're just looking for another high value guy that they can start dating. They might just be dating. A lot of times these girls are just dating these guys out of boredom, because there's nobody else. They haven't met anybody else. Nobody else has had the balls to step up to them and work solid game. Okay? Nobody has had the balls to do that. So here you come along with your game and your skills, and she will go for it. Okay? Because a lot of times too, where these girls meet their boyfriends, they don't meet their boyfriends through cold approach pickup. These guys are not these pickup masters like you are. They meet these guys through a friend of a friend, a co-worker, or there's some guy that they work with. They meet them through their social circle. That's how most of these beautiful girls meet their boyfriends. And this is why they get so bored of these guys. They get so bored of them because they're chumps. They can't do pickup like you can. But a lot of these hot girls, they just feel it's safer to meet guys this way. So they're willing to settle for a guy who's like a 5 or a 6 that's from their social circle, a guy who's even low value, rather than a guy like yourself who's learning this stuff who is high value. Okay, so next time you approach a girl, she gives you that top rejection, hey, I have a boyfriend, you know what to